It helps if I turn on the microphone before I start speaking, or at least it should. So I've done a lot of talking that apparently no one could hear. So welcome to Pelado Creations. Welcome to the shirt making its first appearance. My wife made this for me for my birthday. And we are working on a watch display case. I've been working on this for a while. It's been a bit since I've done anything on it, but I have done something on it off camera. And so I filled in some holes with some, a glue and sawdust mixture back here as well, and kind of in there. So the next piece to work on is the lid. I previously cut some pieces for the lid and put dados in them. And after doing that, I realized, well, I went to cut the miters so that I could fit them all together, and then realized that I cut that miter the wrong direction. So supposed to go that way, and I went that way. So I'm starting over, and I'm going with a little bit thicker or a little bit wider stock. So I've got my stock over here that I'm going to work with. So let me see how much width I've got it. Thought it was an ice cube tray. Yeah, that'd be some pretty good sized ice cubes. So, but could be. All right. So let me see how much width I've got to work with here. .75. And so I've got some holes on the sides here. And this is from the nails that were in the floorboards here, because these used to be oak hardwood floorboards. And I've also got a little bit of chipping here along the side. So I want to clean off that edge, and then cut it as close to down the middle as I can, I think. So I think I'm ready to get started. Let's do it. So bring you over here to the table saw. Ooh, table saw. And go. All right. So that is pretty much the height I want, because I haven't done anything since the last time I worked on this. So I'm just going to scoot this over to be right there, and then scoot it over another little bit, almost a blade width, and actually a full blade width. I think that's what I'll need to clean up that edge. And then I'll turn it around and take off the nail holes. All right, let me get some protective equipment here. Starter pistol has 5. Let's go to it. Yep. All right. Get some eye protection and ear protection. And then I think this will probably work better if I plug it in first. So that's what I've been led to believe anyway. So it goes on that. Let me see if I think I'd rather use this guy than my other push stick here. I think it'll give me better control. So let's try it. Not sure what that reddish hue is on there. I'm like, am I bleeding? Like, where did that come from? But I'm seeing more of it over here. So I'm thinking maybe there's something that I was working with or something that got kind of smeared on there. I don't know. But whatever the case, I think I need to take this over just a hair more in order to get a clean edge on that. Let's try it. That's better. That is better. I think I've got a pretty clean edge there. But I don't know if you guys noticed, but I certainly did. I forgot to lock in the brakes before I started using the table saw. And I don't really want this moving around too much while I am sawing things. So hopefully that's better. In fact, I'm actually going to, now that I've engaged the brakes, making it harder to push, I'm actually going to put it over here in the rut of the garage concrete floor. All right. Let's see. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. All right. Now I'll flip it around and take off just enough to remove those holes. I think that's pretty close. Let's give that a go. And actually, before I do that, I'm just going to vacuum up whatever this red stuff is. Any ideas what that is? What it's from? Just so I don't infect the rest of the workpiece with it. Should be better. Let's see. Is it sawing things or seeing things? Probably both. Probably both. All right. Let's go again here. That's pretty good. I still have some of that red stuff. It must be on the blade. So, all right, let me see if I can mark the center of this thing. See if we can't. So the way I like to do it is get as close as I can by eye. And that's probably pretty close. And then it helps when my pen will actually mark. Okay, and then I'll just come from the other side. And right down the middle of those two is the middle. So right around there. Kevin is there to take your #1 status. Why would he do that? Yeah. The first, probably 5+ minutes of this live stream, I was talking like crazy, but didn't actually have any audio on, so I forgot to turn on my microphone. So I think that was Plywood's favorite part. It's like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to listen to him. Oh, I should have adjusted this thing before that. See, I forgot to check that the little tires on my Grabber Pro would not interfere there. So I made it much smaller, and okay, well, let me clean up. That's what happens when you cut through your Grabber Pro, everybody. Let me vacuum up the evidence. And that was peaceful then. Didn't know you could be silenced. Hey, Wes, good to see you. Thanks for joining us here. All right. Did you catch my the damage I inflicted on my Pro? So this is what it looks like when you run your Grabber Pro through the table saw without adjusting those rubber tracks. All right. So, oh, you know what we need to do next is still on the table saw. So let me bring you guys back over here. Let's see. Better rubber than flesh? Yeah, no kidding. Thinking the same thing. You did what it was supposed to. Yeah. The table saw did indeed do what it was supposed to do. I just didn't do what I was supposed to do. So that's the weak link, as I think you are all still, very, very much aware. yeah, I agree. I'd much rather damage this guy than this guy or this guy. So, oh, looks like I should vacuum a little bit more. All right, here we go. All right, so now these are, I think, pretty much the exact same size as what I had before. On the ones that I screwed up. Let's see what the calipers say. 0.65 and 0.63, 0.64, 0.65. So, yep, pretty much the same, which makes sense because I was cutting from the same type of material. So now I'm just going to put a dado in. And on this one, I'll do it on this side because that's a lot messier. And which side to use here? But I need to be careful here because I'm planning to use some barrel hinges. Let me just tell you out loud what I'm thinking in my head. So I picked up these barrel hinges. And they're just barely small enough to fit inside. I think my stock is just a little smaller than what I'm supposed to use with these. So I think it's supposed to be a minimum of 1/2 inch. And I think this is like 0.45 inches, something like that. So I'm just thinking I'm going to have a dado inside of here. And, so, basically I'll cut these guys so that, that I can fit these on. And then my dado in here will accept the plexiglass. And I need my barrel hinge to be able to go in without hitting my plexiglass. So, so what I'm going to do is move this along here so that it is flush with the inside of my, this side. And then I'll just, actually, I'm going to scoot it over here so that I can get that angle a little better. Oh, there we go. That's not visible enough. There we go. You can see that. And then I'll just set my dado height to not be any more than that. All right. Let's see. Awesome shirt. Oh, thanks, Wes. My wife made it for me. It's for my birthday. Apologies, Wes took it. Like that shirt. Only wear shirts with pockets. Stitch a little pocket over the face. Put the pocket here. Little pelado eyes peeking over. Yeah, I guess. All right. What's up, all? What's up, pair of men? Yep, two dudes. Thanks for being here, Keith. What's up, Wes? Plywood. All right. All right. So now I need to move this over so that it's pretty much halfway. And just going to eyeball that. It's pretty close. And then actually, I'm going to do that after I set the height. So right about there. All right. And now, scoot this back over. And that is pretty close to halfway. Lock that in. All right. And we'll do it like that. Okay. And I didn't quite get it in the center, but it'll be okay. I think I'm going to try sanding these guys a little bit before I cut them. So I think it'll be easier to sand in their current state rather than after I've cut them down to size. So I think I'm done with the table saw for now. I'm going to unplug it, move it out of the way. One of the nice things about having everything on wheels is that you can move everything out of the way when it's not in use. One of the bad things about having everything on wheels is that you have to move it out of the way when it's not in use. All right, there we go. And let's see. It's going to be the easiest way for you guys to see what I'm doing. Probably if I set up on the router table. So let me see if I can do that. All right. All right. Alrighty now. Let's see. Dudes, yep. Plywood is out of the rankings. Oh no. How did that happen? Plywood, you got to get back in the rankings, dude. Time to go. No, don't go, Plywood. Don't give up that easily. All right, so let's go with power, because why do something by hand when you can do it with power? So I'll hook up the old vacuum hose, and I think I'll just go straight to 180. Ooh, off balance there. All right. And should I bring it close enough to actually plug in directly, or to use an extension cord? Yeah, Wes, you got the lockdown on the chat, man. Okay. Number 4 of 3. Yeah, I know the feeling, man. I know the feeling. All right. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to put this over here. And I want to clean off my pen marks that I made earlier. And so I'll start with turning on the vacuum. All right, that's probably good. Well done. I drop the power sander. All right. Let's see. What a remarkably clean chop. Oh, you must not have been watching earlier. Before I started the live, when I was trying to clean up a little bit and haven't done anything to clean up on the floor yet, or in the corners, little tripod hiding place, got scraps all over, everywhere. Still haven't cleaned up the shavings that I did when I was kind of trying to joint the boards a little bit by hand. And all the mess that I've got over here. So, yeah, and then, the mess in the corner. So, yeah, unbelievably clean shop. And, all right, so I think I like the results of that sanding. I was able to get off my pen marks. I was able to get off a lot of the burn marks from the table saw, and then the rubber marks from when from when the Grabber Pro was getting eaten alive. So overall, I think that's not too shabby. As I think I mentioned before, I didn't get the dado cut right quite in the center, and it looks like this one's in a little bit more centered than that one, but maybe not. Maybe they're pretty similar. So yeah, not too shabby. All right, so now I need to cut these guys into the appropriate lengths. So let's figure that out. Put you on the other side of the router table again as I try to measure that. Hey, what do you guys think? Since I don't have the dado right in the middle, should I have the thicker part on top or the thinner part on top? What do you think would be better? Initially, I was thinking I want the thicker piece on top, but now I'm thinking I actually want the thinner piece on top. Not that there's really that much difference, but a millimeter here, a millimeter there. I think I'm going to do the thinner piece on top. And let's see. Right. All right, I'm marking that there, but really I want to sneak up on that so that I'm not cutting it too short. Let's see. Mine is neater. Let's see. I'm engaged. Took an accidental nap. Oh, here, I'm going to take my glasses and my eye and ear protection off here. Let's see. I need to catch up on some things here. So let's see. Wes is going to be up forever. You dudes kicked you to the curb, took an accidental nap. Weren't driving, though. Thankfully not. Like, finally engaged. My apologies, Pilalo. Not exactly sure what you mean by that, Wes. What type of engaged do you mean? All right. Will you be, Kevin? 10 times neater than mine? Maybe. Plywood's is neatest. Kevin's here. Time. On the shop tour yet. We have 2 paint samples, 2 tape measures, and a screwdriver in the shop. Dealer's choice. Both look suitable. Okay. Yeah. Tape measure and screwdriver are going to make babies. Maybe. I was going to say something about the screwdriver, but I think I'll let that lay. You know what I mean? All right. Soon you'll have circular saws and chisels everywhere. Yep. Have a tape measure. They don't hit the like button. That's how. Oh, okay. Yeah, everyone hit the like button. That's a good idea. I like it. All right. So got those marked. And just see if that makes sense from above. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So onto the miter saw. And the miter saw has had so much use since the last time I was working on this project that it is in the exact same position as it was before. So let's see if we can make it cut the right direction this time. Unlike last time. All right, so I want these guys cut in like that. So I should mark these so that I'm not doing them in the wrong direction again. And let me get my combination square here. And let's see, what's going to be the easiest way to do it? Doesn't seem very easy, but okay. And this doesn't have to be very exact. I'm just marking these so that I remember not to cut it in the wrong direction again. Perfect. All right. All right. So we've got some markings there. And see if we can get this to work properly. Okay, that should be just about right. I'm going to switch my, knock that out of the way. Connect to that, get power plugged in. Check in on chat real quick. 100% silicone doesn't eat styrofoam, does it? I don't know. Plywood still doesn't have a number, but Pilato is 5th. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right. Let's see how that does. Let's turn on the vacuum first. Okay. I think that's pretty close. You think? If I can get that to refocus here. All right. So now I've got that mark that I need to transition. Actually, let me register it against the workpiece again here. Come on, gotta stop bumping it after I position it. Keep bumping it, keep moving it. That is not a straight line. Okay, let's start with that. All right, try that. Okay. Got a little bit extra, what I was shooting for. And then let me see if I've got a little extra on the other side too. I do, which is a good sign. All right, so I'm going to hold off on cutting that anymore for the moment. And now I'm going to cut this guy the other direction. Okay, that should be good. And now, how much do I need to take off on him? Ooh, if I can register it up against, let me tighten that guy up. That should make it easier to register. All right. And there we go. That should give me a little extra. And compare that to actual workpiece. That actually gives me a little bit more extra than I was expecting, but it's fine. All right. Now, just need to do the same thing on this piece. So, start over here. All right, so we've got those. Let's see how well they align right now. I know I've got a little bit more length than I need. I think I've got more length than I need, but you never know. All right. So let's see, I said I wanted the thinner part on top, right? Okay. So, yeah, I've definitely got more length than I need. I don't know how obvious it is to you guys, but maybe a little easier to see that way. So, all right. Just need to, don't even really want to inch up on it because I have less than an inch to remove. Got more on this one, but I'm thinking maybe I'll just put them in together. What do you think? Let me catch up on chat here. Resonating art, hit the like button, but heading to bed. Night, sorry, wasn't chatting for resident listening. Hey, thanks for joining us, Amy. Appreciate it. And all right, so get the vacuum on and then reset it. Ooh. Let's see. Ooh, that feels just about right. That's pretty much right where I want to be on those. I might have a little tiny bit of overage there, but I think I'd rather leave that and sand it off if need be rather than risk cutting them any shorter. Yeah. All right. And these guys. Yeah, this one has a fair amount of overage. And this one, a little bit. So we'll cut those guys together too. Vacuum on. Feels like that needs a touch shorter. And that guy too. Pretty close. Not quite there yet. So I'll reposition again. Turn on my vacuum again and then reposition again. That's probably a little more than I needed. And I won't be able to put any back on it once you cut it. But actually, I think that's just about right. So, let's see. Thin part on top. Thin part on top. Thin part on top. And I'm still too big. Huh. I'm surprised there. I think my side pieces are just about right. But I think my end pieces just about the right size. But I think these side pieces are a tad too long. Yep. You see that overhanging just a bit on each side? All right, so I need to take another hair off of these guys. I never know because I always yes. Amen. Plywood, amen. Okay. Hmm. I'm going to try to see if I can make sense of this. I keep trying to position it. But then everything keeps falling around me. So if I can get some pieces to stay stationary, hopefully that will give me a better chance to be able to see if I've got something I need to change or if it's good as it is. And part of my problem is that my I don't have an entirely flat surface on these guys. So and I think my angles might not quite be 45 degrees here. I think I might have a bit of an issue there. Yeah, it's right here. Can make those come together. And those can come together okay. But then yeah, maybe they're all right, but yeah, let me try putting some tape on this guy. So those are coming together pretty good, pretty well, I should say. Most of my daughters will start correcting me, so I'm always correcting them. Okay. And then over here, I just have a little too much length in these two pieces, but otherwise comes together pretty well. All right. So I'm going to shave off a little bit more on these two. Move forward to number one. Yeah, way to go, Pelado, or Plywood. Sorry. I said, way to go, Pelado. Congratulating myself for your achievement, Plywood. How do you like that? All right. Okay, I think that's pretty freaking good. Way better than I usually do. All right, so now I need to glue up 3 of these. And actually, before I do any gluing, let me make sure that my dado is thick enough to accept the plexiglass. Which I haven't even opened up yet. All right. This is 3 separate pieces. And there's protective film on, I think, both sides. At least the one side there. And I don't think it's thick enough. I think this is supposed to be 1/8 thick plexiglass. But yeah, I mean, I might be able to, once I get the film off, I might be able to jam it in there, but that's going to be a pretty tight fit. So good thing I tested that before I glued it all up. So looks like we're not quite done with the table saw. So I'm going to widen the dado on each of these. All right. Means we get to use the table saw some more. Hooray! Everyone loves the table saw, right? You're like, hey, where did that crosscut sled come from? Well, I was hanging out on the router table earlier. So and move the crosscut sled out of the way. My dado should be this, my dado height should be the same. I haven't adjusted anything there. All right. So now I just need to bring this in. If I just do that, so I think that is, well, could just run it along there. All right, so that's where it was. So if I just run these the opposite direction, That should work. All right, let's plug it in, get it done. And then my dado actually will be in the middle. It might be a little wider than I need by doing it this way, but hopefully it's at least as wide as I need. Yep, a little wider than necessary, but it should work. All right, verify. All right, so, and I've got a pen mark there that I'll just see if I can remove that by hand with this guy. There we go. All right, I'll put the plexiglass off to the side for the moment. And, oh, well, I would apparently taken the night off. Thanks for being here, dude. Appreciate it. All right, so now I need to glue up 3 of these. And I wonder if I should do a spline in these miter joints. Well, whatever I do, I'm gonna try to protect my router tabletop better than I did when I painted those ghosts the other day. I spray painted the Halloween decoration stuff. Got black spray paint on here. Terrible. All right. So, all right. I think I'll leave that guy out for now. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to need some glue. Looks like I haven't been particularly kind to my glue bottle because a lot of dry glue on the tip. All right. All right. So glue and get out these 90-degree clamps. And let's see here. I have to remind myself how these things work. Let's see. It's better for them to go like this and this. Okay. Move this guy out of the way. And all right. So now time for some glue. And I'm going to try to keep my finger as glue free as possible. I'm also going to try to keep glue out of the track, the plexiglass out of the dados there. But I definitely don't want to starve these joints. In fact, I might apply a second coat. Before connecting them. Just to be sure there's plenty of glue. Or maybe I should just put in some splines and not worry about how much glue I'm getting here. I think this will be enough. Famous last words. Come on. I think I've got this is not working well. Hmm. All right. I think these are going to be too big to use. So I'll stick with these smaller ones. But I'm not happy about it. I wonder. I don't think there's a way for me to put one on the inside and one on the outside. Or do something like that. Is there a way to tie those in together? Why not? Something like this. And Something like this. Seems like that should work, right? Okay. Go like that, and go like that. And that should sandwich those together better. So see if that will work. So I'll do another round of glue. Now that that earlier glue is largely gotten soaked up, right. That first coating of glue should kind of seal the pores so that this layer of glue will then stick to the previous layer and the opposite piece to make a good solid joint. We'll see if that's how it actually ends up going. All right. Let's see. You know, I think I'm just going to not clamp it because that seems to be causing more problems than it's solving. All right. So once I've got that dry, I can measure and cut my acrylic or my plexiglass the appropriate size so that it'll fit right in there. I'm going to cut this about there, and then just a little bit of extra here. And then I can slide it in and then glue this piece on. And then I can install my hinges. So, getting close. Getting close. I'm not sure why I still have my eye and ear protection on. Probably because I wasn't sure if I was going to need to cut anything else. So I will disconnect the vacuum from the miter saw and put away the power sander. And let's see. How am I going to want to cut this guy? Anyone in the chat know what's the best tool to use for cutting plexiglass or acrylic? It's going to be better to use the table saw. And probably I will want to use the table saw. Probably, let me see if it's too wide for my crosscut sled. Probably, yeah. I'll have to rip it without the crosscut sled, but I can otherwise cut it. With the crosscut sled. Let's see if I just measure. All right, 0.4 inches, which is less than I wanted actually. So I'm going to have to just not worry about cutting into the plexiglass when I do my barrel hinges. 0.41, 0.4. And here I've got 0.46, 0.46, 1. Oh, that one's 0.5, 0.46, 5. But over here was saying it was registering as 0.5. Oh, think I might have just not been going down far enough. 0.46, 0.45, 0.45, 0.46, 0.46, 0.45. So I think either side is going to be about the same. So all right. So but just because I have 0.4 doesn't mean I have to extend all the way into that dado, right? Can cut it shorter than the dado. Really, that should tell me so I think I'm just going to roll with that. So from this point to this point should be the entire width of my dado. So I can't go any longer than that on the width of my plexiglass. I can go a little shorter though. So if I give a little bit of, I need to go at least beyond this point and this point. If I aim for kind of halfway between those two, I think that should be a good spot. So halfway there, halfway there, me right around here. Let's see what that looks like if I cut it on the table saw. I'm gonna scoot this guy back so I've got better light. All right. And it gets me right to where I want to be. So let me give you guys a better view if possible. And I'm going to bring the blade up a little bit. Up, I said. There we go. All right. Locked in, locked in. Not the cleanest of cuts, but let's see how that does on our other piece here. There it is. All right. That is just about where I wanted it to be. On the opposite side here. Yep. Pretty close. And if I carefully try to slide it into all right. So it's pretty easily going in on the one side, but the rough cut side is having a little bit more difficulty getting in there. So let me see if I can just kind of sand that off. Ooh. I don't want to take off the protective coat. Just want to remove that little lip off of the edge. Feel like it's mostly working, slowly but surely. Just have to hold it at an angle so that it doesn't damage the plexiglass surface. And I think that should work. So then just need to take off out to here. All right. Now, I'm going to get the crosscut sled. And I should have cleared out all this other garbage before that. Go. And let's see how high I need this to be. Go. That should be plenty high enough. And let me see if I can find my mark. I can. Yeah, that was not a smooth cut, especially right at first there. Ah, I think I just need to remove a tiny bit more. All right, so I think that was a much cleaner cut. Let's see. Let's see how well that works. I think that works. Now, did I accidentally damage this too much? So I think I got one stroke. With the sandpaper that scraped this up. And it's probably not repairable. I don't know if you can see it on camera or not. Let me bring you over here. Yeah, I think you can see it right in this area here. Scuffed it up. And then I've got some more over here that's a little lighter, but still not what you want on a display case. So I guess it's a good thing I've got two other sheets over here, huh? Now I can take these dimensions and say, actually, Get over here. Okay. Then it's going to mark here. And hopefully I can use those pieces for something else someday. And back over to table saw. And I'll start with the rip cut. I want to make sure my fence is all the way down to the bottom there so that I'm getting all right. Really doesn't need to be nearly that high. Okay, here we go. Okay, got a much cleaner cut that time than I did on the first attempt. And just try to smooth it out a little without scuffing it up. All right, that should be okay. Now, here's my crosscut that we perform with my crosscut sled. I need to bring the blade up so that it'll actually cut something with the crosscut sled. It's better. It does much better when I'm applying the constant contact there. So just squeeze that off a little. Okay. And see how well that fits now. All right. And I think that's just about as perfect as I ever get. So peel off protective layers here. All right. Let's start gluing this up. I think I'm probably going to need a new brush because this one's probably rusty. I think I'm just going to pour a little bit of glue off here onto the cardboard box and then just kind of dab into it so that I'm not getting a bunch of glue on the plexiglass. Okay. And another dousing of glue. All right. So let that set for a little bit. And I don't want to let it set forever because after I let that dry a little bit, I want to release the clamps and sand the joints a little bit. They're not quite even. So I want to smooth them out, and then also hoping that sawdust will kind of fill in any gaps in those miters. So miters are kind of a tough joint to seat, just because you put some glue on it and the miter just wants to slide around instead of locking into place and staying there. So even with my corner braces here, not quite perfect, because even if I've got a square connection here, I'm not necessarily on the same level height-wise, right? So one can be a little bit up above the other, or the other way there, right? So, and that's kind of the issue that I have over here. So this piece is a little bit higher than these pieces. And I think it might be because I flipped it the wrong direction, because these guys are pretty, I mean, this guy feels a little bit off. This one over here feels a little bit off. This one is pretty solid, but once those are dry, or a little bit more dry anyway, we'll go in, just kind of sand each of these joints, and like I said, hopefully be able to not just smooth them out, but get that sawdust to kind of fill in the gaps so they're not as noticeable. All right, what else do I need to do over here? All right, so I'm going to need to install those barrel hinges. But I think I'm pretty sure I want to wait to do that until yeah, pretty sure I want to wait to do that until I've got the other side, until I got the lid done, so that I can install all of both of them, both sides at the same time. Make sure that I've got them matching up at the right places and everything. So that will be good. All right. All right. Anything else I want to try to get done tonight? All right. So going back to what Wes was saying earlier, not exactly the cleanest shop. Here's my remaining sheet of plexiglass or acrylic. There's the offcuts, multiple offcuts that should be able to use for something. All right. Here's my display case. Some garbage there, and put pen back in the up there. Put marking knife back up there. And put away my multi-measurement thingamabobber. And my I usually put that in the other direction. And combination square. You know what? One of these days, I'm planning to make some cutting boards or charcuterie boards or both out of these slabs of willow. You do something with those. Get them out of the way. Oh, and then you do something with the lathe as well. Had my brother over the other day, and I was telling him that I wanted to switch out the cord and plug, make it safer. And you know, he has a lot more experience with electric stuff, and he said really the only thing he would be most concerned about is just having the the just basic on-off switch. You know, because I've got the gears here to do variable speed, but he said, it'd be much better to have a variable speed controller instead of just a direct on-off switch, because with the variable speed controller, I can slow start the lathe, so I'm not just going from 0 to 60 in 0.5. I can slowly increase the speed and get it up to speed, and then slowly back it down if I need to. And so I did pick up a variable speed dial, the variable speed control dial, but need to install that. So I kind of like this old-timey switch. So I've been hesitant to replace it. Part of why I haven't done anything on that yet, but he makes a lot of sense with his safety concerns on the quick start, going from 0 to 60 in 0.5. So I think I might actually listen to him on that. It's the first time for everything, right? So let's see. Anything else that I want to get done tonight? Anyone in chat, just let me know if you have any questions or anything else you want to see or hear about or whatever. And if not, I'm going to call it a night. So good night, everybody. Hope you had fun watching me struggle with this. And I may be back at some point to install some hinges and some finish. Sand. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll probably just sand these without going live. But at least you know what I'm planning to do. So, I wonder if these are dry enough to try doing now. Dare I? Should I dare? I mean, it's been less than half an hour, right? Seems like that shouldn't be enough time. All right. You can probably see what I meant about not being quite on target there. So let's see if I can carefully sand this. I'm going to get a fresh heat of 180. And Now I'm just trying to knock the sharp edges off a little bit. Just a slight chamfer because knocking down the edges earlier I didn't think was as effective as I wanted it to be. I think this little mark in here is from one of the nail holes that maybe I didn't take off all the way when I was first cutting into this piece. I'm going to see if I need to aim for that anymore. I think I kind of do. Now, the one thing that I'm thinking that I should have done before gluing this all together is the staining. Because I was thinking to stain everything, because I think he wants it to be a relatively dark color. Normally, I like to avoid applying stain. and just put a finish on something. But I'm feeling like I should have stained and finished these pieces before gluing them in. Now I would have had to tape off the mitered edges so that I could, because if I had put stain and finish on the mitered edges, then it'd be really tough to glue those together. But I could have taped those off, stained, finished everything else, and then done the final assembly. Whereas now, trying to stain these, trying to stain the lid at least is going to be somewhat involved, because I don't know that if I can get, I'll have to tape off the plexiglass, and I don't know if that's going to be effective or not. That should be enough. I think that lid's actually looking pretty freaking nice. Other than all the sawdust in there. And a little bit of the moment of truth here. Feels like my lid is a little smaller in my box. But anyway, that gives you a little bit of an idea what it's going to be looking like. I feel like my end pieces are a little bit long and that my side pieces are a little bit short. So Might have to do a fair amount of sanding on the ends of these board, on the ends of the box, on the ends of the box, at least as it approaches the lid. Try and make it look seamless. Close, but not quite. So let's see here. All right. Looks pretty good, but I think I just scratched up my plexiglass. Son of a... Well, I'm going to be consulting AI soon on how to buff out plexiglass if possible. I definitely don't want to break this apart and start over or recut the plexiglass. Good times. Hey, Craig. Thanks for joining me, man. How are you doing today? Or tonight, or whatever it is. It's probably what, 7 a.m. in your neck of the woods. So, what do you think, man? What do you think, Craig? It's supposed to be a watch display case. So, made out of oak hardwood floorboards that I've reclaimed and repurposed using box joints. And then this is a plexiglass lid framed by more of the oak. And planning to use some barrel hinges. Connect this guy so we can open up and close, something like that. So, what do you think so far? So, all right. What do you think, Craig? that an acceptable gift for my son? Or should I scrap it and do something else? What do you think? I was just getting out the air compressor because I didn't think to use the vacuum at first. And now I think I should have used the air compressor so that I didn't scuff up plexiglass with the vacuum. All right. Well, the only other things to do are install the barrel hinges and stain and finish it. All right, so I am going to install the barrel hinges. Where would I want to install them? Probably right around there. Might as well go right at the inch mark. So we find Now, what is my halfway mark here? Use my eraser there. All right. Not a lot of room for error on these guys. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find one that tells me how deep I'm supposed to go on those barrel hinges. All right, I think here it is. All right. Serial hinge installation instructions. Easily installed. Huh. Good to know. All right. Minimum thickness, 1/2 inch. I've got the 10 millimeter version. The 3 size. All right, so 10 millimeters, 7.5. B. Okay. All right, am I thinking of these correctly? I'm thinking I'd be installing them like this. I think that's right. And 8 millimeters from the edge. Flip it over to millimeters. And drop the dial. Seems just about right. Those two are not quite aligned, which is great. All right. So a 10 millimeter drill bit, I think, is going to be close to the 3/8, isn't it? Let's see here. 8" millimeters. 9.5. So that should work. 9.53. So it's about half a millimeter smaller than what these call for. So all right, so come over to the drill press. All right. All right. Probably turn that off now. And I'm going to get some power. Feels like it's aligned pretty well. All right. Let's see.
I'm not sure about this. I don't like this. I think I'm going to screw this up. So I think I'm going to find a different kind of hinge. Sadly. I just don't think I have enough material here, and I'm not confident that I'm going to be able to position that correctly on the drill press, be able to get that where I want it to be. So I've punched those holes, and I'm probably just going to have to sand them, fill them, something, and just call it good. So, all right, I think I'm out of here for the night. See you, everybody.